and welcome to this lesson on multiplication. Just a quick about me, my name is Ritik. I'm a senior at Los Altos High School, and my favorite subjects are math, computer science, and chemistry. So to begin, let's talk about what multiplication is. So as we know, addition is simply putting two numbers together. So for example, 2 plus 2 is 4. And we know that besides adding only two numbers, we can add as many numbers as we want together. So for example, we can do 8 plus 7 plus 6. And this repeated addition is the basis of multiplication. Multiplication is a math operation that takes a specific number and adds it several times. So for example, 5 multiplied by 3 would be 5 plus 5 plus 5. So we're adding 5 3 times. And the answer to that is obviously 15. Now here's another example with more complicated numbers. Here we have 8 times 7. Now again, we could do 8 and add it 7 times, and would get 56. However, we can also add 7 8 times, and would still get the same answer, which is 56. So in other words, 8 multiplied by 7 is the same as 7 multiplied by 8. Now on that previous example, you may not have got the answer right away, since 8 and 7 are quite difficult numbers to add multiple times. And that's why there's the timetable. The times table is a list of different outcomes for multiplying numbers from 1 to 12. So for example, if you're doing 11 times 11, you would get 121, since that's where the two 11s intersect. Now the times table is pretty important because it's very useful to have these numbers memorized. So for example, instead of doing 12 and adding it 12 times, it's a lot easier to just remember 144. Now you'll notice that the times table only covers numbers from 1 to 12. And for bigger numbers, the times table won't help us. Additionally, doing repeated addition won't help us because for larger numbers, like 734 multiplied by 74, it's very difficult to add 734 74 times. That's where the method of long multiplication comes into play. So let's say we're doing 756 multiplied by 32. What we'd do is we'd write 756 and then underneath it writes 32. And then we start from the right and we break down the problem so that we can do it more easily. First we do 6 times 2, and that gives us 12. However, since 12 is a 2-digit number, we only write the first digit, which is 2. And then we go on, so we do 5 times 2 next, and that gives us 10. And again, this is a 2-digit number, so we should write a 0. However, from the 6 times 2 that we did earlier, we got 12. And since we only wrote a 2 here, the 1 has to go somewhere. And that's what's called carrying. So when we did 6 times 2 and got 12, we put 2 here, but we basically carried a 1 here. And what that means is when we did 5 times 2 to get 0 here, we added a 1. So then for 7 times 2, we get 14, and then we add 1 from the 5 times 2, because that gave us 10, so we carried the 1. So 7 times 2 plus 1 is 15. Now, instead of writing just the 5, because there are no more numbers to the left, we just write the 15 without carrying or doing any more multiplication. Now, we do the same process underneath the number that we got. So now we do the same process except for 3. So we do 6 times 3, do the carrying, 5 times 3, and so on. The only difference is that we start out with a 0, since it's the second number. After that, we simply add the two numbers that we got to get our final answer. Now this might not still be that easy to do, and it still might be a bit confusing. That's why the best way to practice is to actually do multiplication. So here's a practice worksheet that you can do, and for each problem, once you get your answer, you put the corresponding letter into the box. So for example, this example problem up here, the answer is 165, and the letter is C. So then over here, we go to 165 and put a C. And if you do that for all of these, you should get a sentence. And if you get a sentence that makes sense, then you successfully did the worksheet. So I highly recommend that you do this to get practice. Thank you all so much for watching. Here are our links to our website, as well as the social media pages. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.